All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our newly found webinar with Coppell. Today, we're going to be taking a look about how their sports information interns have really kind of developed the content machine that Dr. Roxanne Long and Coppell have really kind of honed in on the past few years. And before we get started, guys, we are going to have a Q&A session as soon as we're done here today. So if during the call, if y'all just want to go ahead and throw your questions in the chat box of the Zoom bar, we will get to those at the end of the meeting. And not that y'all need to know a ton about myself, but my name is Grant Harmon. I work with Mascot Media here at our home office here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so to get to the person of the hour, we've got Dr. Roxanne Long. She is the girls athletic coordinator and athletic information specialist there at the Coppell ISD in Texas. We are super fired up to have her on the call with us today. And as you can see, going off of our slide here, she's had several roles, around the state of Texas, and she's really found a home here at Coppell. She's had plenty of awards and accolades. Obviously, you can see those listed there on the right side of the screen. And obviously, every year at Mascot Media, we put on the Broadcasting Awards, which really kind of showcases all of our schools, who's got the most broadcasts, who's got the most users, most active fan base. And you can see kind of the past 2 years what Miss Roxanne has been able to do there at Coppell. And so one of the most fascinating things here about Coppell and about the Coppell program is the student information interns and kind of what Miss Roxanne has been able to showcase in that regard. And so Miss Roxanne, just kind of kick things off here. How did you initially develop the idea for this program? And like whenever you did that, did you experience any problems whenever you kind of got the ball rolling for everything?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Mascot Media, for having me on. I am now a very passionate supporter of Mascot Media and everything that the website has been able to do for Coppell. So just how we came about the sports information intern program. I fell into the role a little bit. I started helping the athletic department here after a long history of coaching and playing basketball. Wanted to break into administration. And one of the ways was a big need for help with information flow in and out, and keeping everybody in the know of what's going on with athletics. And the first thing I discovered when looking at the website is how much information is hard to ascertain. There is so many events going on simultaneous in all kinds of different locations. And so it was actually a soccer manager, a boys soccer manager, who had a passion for a future in broadcasting and media relations, that suggested, what if I gave some notes right after the game through a Google form? And at the time, I was also teaching a couple statistics classes for Coppell and asked a few of my students some of their knowledge of the website, knowledge of Instagram and Twitter, and just information flow in general. And before you know it, had two students that were willing to give me some quick notes after the game through Google Form. It was a girls soccer manager and a boys soccer manager, and worked out the kinks, figured some things out, and it has taken off from there. So now we are to the point, after a 2-year span, we have coaches choose one student to be their SII, their sports information intern. That student needs to be with them at every home and away contest. It is typically a manager for team sports and typically an athlete for individual sports. And that student then gives me notes through Google Form right after the competition is over, and I have an abundance of information at my fingertips to help me develop and maintain a huge level of content for the website.
Wonderful. And yeah, so Roxanne, one of the things that really stands out, I mean, kind of alluding to everything that you just mentioned, one of the things that really stands out is the amount of content that y'all are able to put on the website and on the app. Can you kind of walk us through like how you keep up with that, like your workload? Obviously, as an AD, girls athletic coordinator, you've got a lot on your plate. So obviously, with the students' help, that I would assume that's kind of how you're able to, integrate everything on the app and the website. Does that sound right?
Absolutely. And so when I look at that screen there and talk through it a little bit more, a Google form is, as our Google folks know, is a way to get a quick Excel spreadsheet look or Google Sheet look at every contest the night before. So a typical Tuesday night, we have all our different contests going on. Either late Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning, I'll get into the Google form and in Google Sheets, I'll see every contest from the night before. I'll see the results, I'll see the notes, I'll see the best performers. And I will then post a story for every single contest we have. And I can post them all at once. So Mascot Media is very user friendly in their platform. I hit the news feed. I get a complete article using those notes. I also have a Google folder that the SIIs give me pictures. They take 3 to 4 pictures and dump those pictures in that Google folder. So I tap into my Google Sheets off the form. I tap into my Google folder. And every contest from Tuesday night on Wednesday morning, I can post an article within about 30 minutes for every single contest on Tuesday night because it's all located in one place. All the results and all the notes being located in one place is really a key to the efficiency. And all the pictures being located in one place is also a key to the efficiency. Add all the articles. And then I also at the same time post the results in the schedule feature of the website. So now the schedule is up to date with all the results to the schedule. A news article has been posted for every single contest. And one of my favorite features is then I hit the Twitter button and I also send that story to Twitter, to our athletic Twitter feed. And then I take the Twitter feed and I send that to Instagram. So we now have our Coppell Athletics app through Mascot Media that feeds Twitter, that feeds Instagram, that then feeds back to the website. And I really do believe that loop keeps everybody in the know, getting the information on their personal preference and how they absorb information. You'll also see, I see the screen there that we publish a monthly newsletter. So that monthly newsletter, I also generate through all the information that the SII kids have provided me throughout the month. So I go back and I look at, again, that Google Sheet. Here's all the contest of the month. Here's all the best performers. Here's all the results. And I'm able to generate a newsletter. That newsletter is a little bit internal to all our family and friends here at Coppell. But then I also post the newsletter on the website, which then posts to Twitter, which then posts to Instagram. And so the newsletter is also wrapped into all feeds.
Absolutely. And Roxanne, you kind of just touched on this earlier. It could probably be pretty scary for someone, integrating over to like a new system or a new platform. And just from your experience, I mean, how user friendly is it to, post all this stuff? I know you said maybe for all sports it might take you 30 minutes, but was there a big learning curve when you first got started with the platform?
Great question. The customer service at Mascot Media is outstanding. So I have had an abundance of help. I have sat down for one-on-one sessions and gotten help with the points and clicks. Honestly, even though I liked the reassurance, when I first got in the backside of the system, it was very easy to ascertain exactly where to go for what feature I was looking for. Add article, no problem. Which sport do you want to put that article under? It's a drop-down menu. Picture, paste here. Put the article information down here, post. So everything was pretty user-friendly anyway. But then the more and more I reached out to customer service, the more features I found. So the image slider is an incredible tool because that allows for a front side image on the website that can link back into the article on the sports specific page. So the image slider gives that nice look for the entire athletic department. You can see softball results and track results and tennis results flow through that image slider. But clicking on the slider then sends you to the article. And I love that feature about Mascot Media as well. I've also very recently, it feels like each month I add a layer. And very recently I have created graphics for announcements, football season tickets coming up, physicals for middle school and high school students coming up. And I have been able to create a graphic to announce those really important dates that are on the horizon. And I use that graphic as an image slider.
Absolutely. And Miss Roxanne, as I talk with ADs schools every week, and they're always asking me like how do I make the website pop? And just like you said, I tell them on that image slider you can add captions and you can add links. So literally all they have to do is just click on that link to redirect them to the ticket, playoff tickets or the news article, that you just posted. So I've really found myself that is very beneficial to, just pumping more content onto the website. Absolutely.
For sure.
And so with that, so we've got all the information, we've got the scores, the news articles, the ticket links on the website. How have you seen your community kind of buy into that? Is there a sense of like school pride, within the school, and then also the community that you've noticed, Ms. Roxanne?
Well, really, I think that's a tough question because I think it is definitely community based. And it is community based because we have so many different outlets that have now become accustomed to finding out all athletic information through this website. So I've noticed we have our district communication level, which handles all communication for the district. We have our campus principals, administrators, which handle communication for just their campus. We have yearbook staff. We have our student media groups that cover different items. They are now all going to our website for content. So they are able now to go to our website and find anything they need. They can find the rosters, they can find the pictures of our student athletes, they can find the pictures and the coaches' bios of all our coaches. They can find a story about every single contest, and then they can find our graphics that for special announcements. And I have watched it adapt slowly over time, organically. It hasn't been where we've all sat in a room together and every single communication piece in our district. In our district, our high school is in top 20 in the state in size. So we are a massive place. So we have so many different communication channels going simultaneously that it was definitely organic, but now it has proved true that all our different communication channels come to the website for the athletic information and take that information and put it on their channels as well. And so it has seamlessly become the source of everything. It's the newspaper, it's the pamphlets, it's the anything that we can think of from back in the day, it has become that.
Absolutely. And just like you mentioned, Ms. Roxanne, it's not going to happen overnight, right? It does take work. And, like you said, it's going to happen over time, right? And so that's something that you really kind of have to hone into. And, once you buy in, I mean, as you mentioned, your people are going to know where to go for future information, whether it be like homecoming events or, athletic scores, just like you mentioned, it's going to take time to build that stuff. And so, Roxanne, kind of like turning back to the SII program, do you envision like anything else coming up out of this? Like, do you envision like any growth or like any other opportunities that the program might have in the future?
I hope so. Like I said, every month we add a layer and get another. So right now, our SIIs really enjoy the job. They think it's really fun to run around and take pictures. They think it's really fun to see their name on the website, credited with the story from the night before. They get a t-shirt. They get to be with the team everywhere the team goes. Or part of the team in an individual sport example. So right now it's fun and not, it's just not a huge responsibility. It's a little bit of fun, a quick Google form, and some credit, especially if they want to become something in the broadcast world or the media world in their future. Hopefully, what it'll grow to eventually is even more. So what I'm thinking is graphic creation. Right now, I create the graphics, but why can't that be an extra layer for student help? Maybe a handful of our SIIs become specialized in graphic creation, and those graphics get on the image slider and feed everything. Maybe a handful of our SIIs are a brain trust, because what I have done over the last 2 years is ask for a lot of feedback. Student athletes, what do you think? What should we do differently? Parents, what do you think? What should we do differently? Community members, what do you think? What should we do differently? So maybe we have a group of SII students that are assigned to graphic building, a group of SII students that are assigned to kind of a brain trust. How can we make this better? What works? What doesn't work? And then one project that I'm especially excited about is we have started in on a little bit of an alumni series. And I have been conducting Zoom interviews with Coppell alum. And so maybe we have a subset of SIIs that are assigned to the alumni series and help with some of that content creation or some of those interviews. So my vision right now, and I've had plenty of visions in the past, and they do change and ebb and flow just depending on feedback and how things go. But my vision right now is maybe some specialized SII groups that aren't assigned to an individual team, but rather are assigned to a monthly meeting of sorts with me, and we get some of these added amazing features at play.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier in the call, I'm kind of responsible for like onboarding new schools in Metro Roxanne. One of the things that I've seen a lot of schools start to do is exactly, this student information, intern type deal, whether it be like a media class, or, kind of however you want to call it. So I think this is definitely something that we're going to see, just like from an AD's perspective, just keep growing and growing and growing. Just like you mentioned, it's going to build that kind of platform for students that become interested in broadcasting or journalism, whatever it might be. This is, I feel like, is a great stepping stone for those students. Absolutely.
Sure.
And
I
so
think it has unlimited possibilities.
absolutely. And so with the foundation that we're giving these students, specifically like with the mascot media platform, how have you seen that role kind of contribute, like with the mascot media platform, providing that kind of space for students to operate on?
Well, I guess from the student perspective, not only are they having a good time, they are building a portfolio. And I basically do one-on-one training with every student that has agreed to be an SII. And they are coach selected. And I think that is very important to this process, because the coach needs to be comfortable with whoever is designated as their SII. They are going to be there. They're going to be kind of the information flow through to me. And so that coach selected SII then sits with me. It usually takes me only 10 to 15 minutes, but I do one-on-one trainings. And one of the things that a student is always interested in is, well, that's neat that my name is there, and this sounds really fun, but how do I help parlay this into my future? And it's building a portfolio. So when they are bylined on the website and then also sent to Twitter and also sent to Instagram, they naturally have a portfolio that they are building now. They have something they can put on their resume. they have a reference with me that they can use as a supervisor in an internship. And so I think it very much legitimizes a true internship when they have a portfolio attached.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean that's everything, as they start that career. I mean, it's always good to have those, things that they can kind of reference back on, or, if someone's curious that they want to see their previous work, it's all right there in front of them. And so that's all great. And guys, just a quick reminder, we are going to have a Q&A session here in maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if y'all do have questions, feel free to go ahead and start throwing those in the chat. And like I said, we'll get to those in maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And so Roxanne, just kind of put a bow on things. This is all fine and dandy. It's obviously a phenomenal idea to build your content, build your platform, and obviously set up students for success. Would you have any advice for either a school or a district that's kind of looking to establish a similar program?
Absolutely. I did notice that, well, let me think how I want to say that. Each district and each campus are unique. And so I did notice that we here at Coppell have all kinds of unique, I looked into a little bit some of the stuff other districts and other campuses were doing, some of our media groups that are already established on campus, and each need is unique. Who is the person? For instance, I'm the person here at Coppell that does the points and clicks behind the website. That all matters on how you create a program of sorts. And so I think my biggest advice would be to start small and pilot something. And so what I did at the very initial stages is I piloted this through two programs, boys and girls soccer. And boys and girls soccer, the coaches each hand selected two students to be the two original SIIs. And they were the only ones for the entire year. And that one tiny pilot of the system of sorts really helped identify flaws. What works, what doesn't. I was able to ask those two original students, hey, what's easy, what's hard? Why does this work? Why does this not work? What can we do better? How long does this take? What should the form, we've changed the form about 3 or 4 times to make the form that they fill out, the Google form, a lot more user-friendly. What could this form look like? What would make it easier? And then we had to pilot an individual sport as well, because individual sports are completely different. So tried track next and figured out what were some of the flaws and some of the things that we could refine through track. And once we had those two pilot programs going, it has taken off from there and gotten better and better and better. And we have return SIIs now. So it's wonderful if a head coach could hand select an SII that's a sophomore. Then all of a sudden, sophomore year, then junior year, then senior year, and that SII, they get more efficient and they get better at their role. And so we've had a lot of that now. Have a senior SII in softball that has been doing it since their sophomore year. And had in girls basketball a similar situation. The SII kind of worked for 3 years. And they really get more and more aware of where their product and where their information is going. So another example, we run an athlete of the week for the district. I choose that athlete of the week off of the Google form because I can see the week's performances from the week before, every performance, every game, every top performers, and I can choose, okay, this athlete was the top performing athlete from last week. And I can build an athlete of the week graphic, which feeds everything, Twitter, Instagram, and all. And those SIIs know that their information train has contributed to that. They see all the stories, and that product makes more sense if that SII gets to stay multiple years. And then the coach too, as they hand select and as they know that that's their SII, that gets me the information for the website and gets me the information for the athlete of the week and gets me the information for the newsletter, they can feel very comforted when that SII sticks around for multiple years and really understands from a big picture what we're up to here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good, not that I would know, but I would assume to have that reassurance as a coach, right? That this student knows what they're doing. They're going to be able to, proceed accordingly, get all the correct information. And so, Roxanne, I think this is probably a great time to go ahead and open up the Q&A section. And honestly, this is kind of a greatly timed question here. We had someone ask in regards to like setting the whole program up, did you have to get approval from administration to start the program or kind of get the ball rolling?
Absolutely. So that approval step had multiple layers. And then a uniqueness. Again, every campus, every school district has some unique features. We have 2 student groups already in place that are award-winning here in Coppell. We have a broadcast student media group and a newsprint student media group that are national award winners. They are not athletic specific. They cover the entire district and the entire campuses. So they have a very broad base of what they cover. But it was really important that this is athletic specific to drive just athletic information, website, and social media channels. So it was very important when going through the layers of approval to not step on either of those existing student media groups' toes. They're award-winning, they're amazing, they just happen to not be athletic specific. So how can we help each other, and how can we coordinate and seamlessly integrate this program without making this program bigger than it needs to be? So I think we hit a really nice sweet spot through all those approval layers, that this program feeds me as an athletic administrator in order to help have full and timely information. But it is not a group that is self-contained or an additional student media group. It is in a perfect zone, in my opinion, of not overstepping.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always good, right? You got to keep the higher ups happy, as always. And we've got another question in here, Ms. Roxanne. Actually, I think I can answer it myself if you don't mind. We had somebody ask, is the website for all schools in the district? And honestly, like we can pull up y'all's site right here and we can take a look at it. But you can see up here at the top of Coppell's website, you can see that we've got some of their other schools in the district. So if we wanted to go to another school, all we've got to do, guys, is just click on that logo and it's going to redirect us right to the middle school site or junior high site, whatever that might be. That was a really good question. Uh, so
That's a
we've got
great question. And I might add, we're a little unique and we're a 1 high school town. So we have 1 high school and 3 middle schools, but it would work seamlessly for multiple high schools as well.
Absolutely. And even like on the back end, kind of touching on that, if somebody wanted to, post something on the high school site and then the middle school site, it probably takes 2 clicks to go in and, just redirect, which site that you want to post on. So that's another like seamless transition, that somebody would experience on either the app or the website. And so let's see. So it looks like we got another one, another question rolling here, Dr. Long. And they asked, what feedback have you received from parents and kids, in regards to like the news articles having their name on it? Have you received anything back from parents or anything?
Well, I did learn through a Mascot Media webinar how powerful putting a student athlete's name in the title of the article can be. And that is something I'm going to change and adapt. I learned it through this exact platform from Weatherford, if I remember correctly. And that, I think, is something we can do a better job of. Right now, the titles are usually just soccer wins 2-1 last night, and we haven't really incorporated student athletes' names in the title of the article. And so I hope to get better at that. I'm going to take that tip for sure.
Wonderful. And so it looks like we had Mr. Gold. Coach Gold, how you doing? He asked a great question here. In terms of like the back end of the website, do you give all of your coaches access to like post these news articles, Miss Roxanne, or is this something that like you just run through yourself directly?
I run through myself directly. And we had a time before my existence where every head coach had access to the backside of the website and posted their own articles. And anybody that knows a high school coach's life or even a high school athletic administrator's life, that had various levels of success depending on what time of year, depending on how well the game went, depending on assistant coaches and managers and who had that as part of their job description. This has worked much better. We had 3 years ago when we had that system in place where every head coach had access to the backside. We just didn't have equal representation for every sport. We didn't have consistent representation of all sports at all times. And then coaches sometimes, in my opinion, were a little bit distracted by the points and clicks. They didn't mind getting all the information to athletic admin. No problem. Here's all the information. But frustration with maybe being the one that has to do the points and clicks when it's actually an athletic ran website, because I don't know what other districts and schools are doing, but we also have a lot of sports specific websites sometimes. We have a lot of sports specific Instagrams and Twitters. So our coaches are already handling a whole bunch of this. And so to add to their plates to also handle the athletic website was a little bit of a disconnect. So this has created a lot of happiness among coaches and created a lot more consistency and broad view of every sport for our department.
Absolutely. And one thing that I've kind of seen, Roxanne, is that really kind of depends on the district or the school or the AD. I mean, just depending on, what kind of access they want to grant their coaches. Some schools, the football coach might be really hands-on with their, digital presence app website. And then the soccer coach may not be as tech savvy, as that coach. That's one thing that I've seen, that it's really just kind of hit and miss, depending on the school district, and then even, boils down to the coach as well.
For sure. And I think I'll add in too, since I wholeheartedly believe in the system we've created here, the efficiency is so much better in one person's hands, because after a couple years of practice, I can fly through being efficient and getting everything posted and everything posted in the right way. Anything that is athletic department wide, and our coaches can't necessarily do that efficiently because they're only their season. And then also it doesn't allow for them to have access to the athletic Twitter, and some of that loop, the Twitter and Instagram loop wouldn't be possible and wasn't possible when coaches were doing it.
Absolutely. And kind of changing directions here, Dr. Long. Do you provide a camera or an iPad for your SI students, or is this something that they're just kind of using like on their own phone or their own iPad, or how do y'all kind of go about that?
Well, I was trying to keep it very simplified for webinar sake, but I get information and pictures specifically from lots of sources. So the SII does take a few pictures on their phone, stick the picture in the folder. The pictures are outstanding. Haven't had any trouble with quality of pictures at all from that method. But I don't always use the SII's pictures. I have all kinds of professional picture sources as well. And that has become an adaptation over time. And this, I guess, is another plug for it being in one person's hands, works really good, because each sport is very unique in how they do things. So we have several sports that have a professional photographer that they have hired for their entire season for all kinds of reasons for their own sport specific things that they do. I have access to the professional photographer's picture folder. So for a handful of our sports, it is all professional photography. And then I get to be connected to the professional photographer. And I use that folder. I do not use the SII folder. And some of our individual sports or some of our other sports, they house a picture folder from all kinds of athletes. And so that it's not just the SII's picture. I take pictures sometimes at games. We also have a professional photographer that takes a lot of photos for fun. He allows me access to his folder so that one person liaison to all these different sources has been very helpful.
Absolutely. Well, good deal, Miss Roxanne. It looks like that's about all the time that we have today. We might give it another minute or two for more questions to roll in if anybody else has any. But guys, just to reiterate again, we will have like a post-meeting attendee. So if y'all want a copy of the slideshow, we'll be sure and send it out to everybody. And then also, if anybody's interested in creating their own sports network, just like Miss Roxanne has here with Coppell ISD, y'all will have access to do that again. We've got all the information on the screen. Miss Roxanne, that was awesome. I'm sure everybody in attendance, really enjoyed hearing about everything that Coppell has offered. So do you have anything else to close?
I don't think so. I just maybe would throw out there that I am turning 50 this year. And so this was foreign to me. I am that generation that grew up without cell phones, grew up without social media. So when I fell upon the role, it was a little bit overwhelming at first. And the more and more I've got into it, it is a blast. I think it is so fun and it is so heartfelt because it supports student athletes. And so it is one of my favorite things I've ever tackled in a career, and mascot media was crucial in that journey because they kind of got me started in the right direction. And then the more collaborators and the more I got used to Twitter and Instagram, it has been a fun journey and now one of my favorite roles and things to do.
Wonderful. Well, like I said, everybody, I think that's all the time that we've got today. Miss Roxanne, it's a pleasure as always. And again, for everybody in attendance, thank you all for spending some time with us today. And again, as soon as we're done, we'll be sure and send everybody out that was in attendance so some more information about, if they wanted to get their program started. So with that being said, Miss Roxanne, thanks again, and hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you all.